Hello everybody, it's Shel. Welcome to another edition of Paperboy. This week we're talking about toxic masculinity. And boy, can I weigh in on that. So I didn't know that such a thing existed until I was in counseling and I was talking about my son and what I feel like it means to be male. And come to find out, I actually perpetuated the thought of toxic masculinity. We have an amazing, so we're all in counseling. I'm in individual therapy, as is my wife and son, and then my wife and I are in couples counseling. And our couples counselor, our therapist is amazing. And so she, one of our sessions, Spud has caused problems for me and my wife. That's my son. Because he and I have struggled. I've been in his life since he was 2. He's now 9.5. And he's always been... I don't want you guys to think that I'm being mean. I've always perceived him as a quote-unquote wuss. He has always cried very easily. He's never been tough. He's scared of everything. He's not adventurous. He's getting better. In the last year, he's gotten a lot better. Or, he's grown. I shouldn't say better. See, there's that, there's toxic masculinity, Aaron, its ugly head. He's gotten more mature. And he doesn't cry as much. But before, he could just, skin himself barely, and he would scream. He cried all night until he was 4 years old. He cried through the night until he was 4. People are like, oh, my baby slept through the night. Well, Spud did not stop waking us up crying until he was 4. And it used to drive me crazy because I would put earplugs in and I would expect my wife to just ignore him. But she couldn't. It bothered her. And I'm like, well, if it bothers you, then you get up with him. But it would cause a fight with us because she's like, it's not fair that I always have to get up with him. And I'm like, but I think he should cry it out. I don't think I should get up with him. I think that he needs to quit crying at night. He needs to quit doing that. Because I would go in there and be like, what are you crying about? I don't know. And I'm like, if you don't know why you're crying, you shouldn't be crying. So, anyway, he finally stopped crying overnight at 4. He would not ride his bike because he's afraid of a bicycle until he was 7 years old. We tried, and he would cry. He cried the first time we tried to take him ice skating because it scared him. He used to stand at the bottom. You know how McDonald's have playground equipment? He used to stand at the bottom until he was 5 years old, and we told him, no, you don't get to play unless you go up in the top. But he used to stand in the bottom of the equipment and say, guys, come down here and play, because he didn't want to go up. And we were like, no, you climb up. He's not athletic. He's not anything like me. I was the typical boy. I was jumping off of buildings, jumping off of the roof. I was turning flips on the trampoline. I was building ramps for my bicycle. I was playing football. I was one of the best football players on the block. And I was a girl. But I was a boy. You know what I mean? I was more of a boy than my son is. And that's what I tell Amy and my wife and my counselors. And that's what I've had to work through is it's hard for me because being trans, I feel like he doesn't deserve to get to be a boy. I'm going to say some really strong things. And so if you guys get offended easy, you may not ever watch one of my videos again. But I did say at one point, because I was so bitter that I didn't get to have a penis. And I was bitter that he was such a sensitive child, which I've now embraced and realized he's a sensitive child. That I said he's a waste of a penis. He doesn't deserve a penis because he doesn't even act like a boy. I know. I'm sure people are watching this going, and, believe me, I've had to go through a lot of therapy. He's a wonderful person. That child has a heart of gold. He has been able to tell since he was 2 years old if you're having a bad day. He would go, are you okay? Are you okay? He is the one that would sit with other children when they couldn't play. A child broke his arm and Spud sat out of recess because he didn't want him to sit out alone. And that's what's amazing. He loves with his whole heart. He is so tender-hearted. He is so kind. And you know, those are qualities that I attribute to being female. I don't attribute those things to being male. And I'm saying that today, but I'm trying to get outside that thinking. But I tell Amy all the time, I was more of a boy than he is. And she goes, I'm sure you were. But you have to love him and accept him for who he is. And it's caused problems in our marriage because that's her baby. And I understand that being her baby. And I understand that when I was not accepting him, it was like not accepting her and rejecting a very piece of her. But I've been the strong disciplinary in his life. Nobody was discipline him when I came into his life. I think that his crying problem had a lot to do with that, because he would cry and someone would hand him something and stick something in his mouth, and he was 2 and people were letting him decide what clothes he was going to wear because of his crying. And I'm like, no, he's 2. He doesn't get to decide what he's going to wear. So I brought some authority and discipline into his life that he didn't have before. He doesn't want to fish, which I don't like fishing. Water is something I love. I love to go jet skiing. I love to tube. I love to ski. This kid was deathly afraid of water until 2 years ago when we made him be part of a YMCA camp, and they taught him how to swim at the YMCA camp. But we tried. I was a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard in college for 3 years, and I would get in the water with him, and I would try to tell him, nothing is going to happen to you. I have you in my arms. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And he would scream until we let him out of the water, which he's gotten over, thankfully. He finally rides a bike, but he won't even go down like tall slides. He won't go down, like, I would love to go to a water park, but it would be a waste of money because my kid would only sit like in the wading pool, and I would be wanting to go and do all the rides. But that's just who he is. So I do believe that men should be tough. That's what I truly believe. I don't feel that men shouldn't cry, but I have made a huge mistake by being so hard about Spud crying. He doesn't even like me to see him cry now, because he knows that in the past I've made an issue out of it, and I've had to, over the last year, do a lot of work just through therapy of being transgender and talking through gender roles and what it is to be male and what it is to be female. And I've had all of the therapists, both his, my own, and our couples therapist, say, you've got to quit telling him it's not okay to cry. And they've all told me about toxic masculinity and how I perpetuate that on him. And there's a really good movie, if any of you guys have Netflix. Sorry, it's been a long day. Today's my wife's birthday, and it's been a long day. There's a movie called The Mask I Wear, I believe is the name of it, and it talks about toxic masculinity, and it really spoke to me, because I was like, God, I've got to get a grip on this. But what I do hope to do is to model being tough. And I say that because men are expected to be tough in our society, and that's not going to change. I really don't think that's going to change in his lifetime. And he gets bullied. He's been bullied ever since he's been in school, because he's considered by others a sissy. And I don't want him to be someone he's not. But he's also going to have to be, he's going to have to function in society as a man. And there's more pressure to be a man and to be tough and be successful and that sort of thing. And he can't handle anything that's outside his comfort zone. If it's out of his comfort zone, he's not interested in it whatsoever. But he's been amazing support of me. He's asked me if he could call me Dad, and I'm like, yeah, you can call me Dad, but you don't have to. But he wants to. He wanted me to stand up at our church on Father's Day to get this little gift they were giving out. I was like, no. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no. Because I wasn't comfortable standing up, because I'm not his dad. Maybe eventually I'll feel that role, but right now I still feel like his other mom. So, he's going to always probably be an outcast with guys. We even told him to start playing with girls at school, because we're like, girls are not tough, because he was coming home every day saying, so-and-so punched me, so-and-so kicked me, and we were like, you know, boys just play that way, Spud. That's just the way the boys mess around and play around. Girls don't play that way. Maybe you should make friends with girls. And he didn't want to. You know, he wanted to be part of the boys. But toxic masculinity is very real, and it's something that I fight against every day. Like, I want to just be me, and I definitely have feminine qualities. I'm non-binary, and I want to just be me, but then I also feel like, and it's self-imposed expectations, I also feel like I need to carry myself in a very manly way, in a very masculine way, and I have to look tough and act tough, and, you know, even when guys hug, you know how they do the bro hug, where you, like, clasp one hand and wrap your other hand? It doesn't even feel natural to me. I'm like, come on, I just want to give you a hug. Can we just do a regular hug? But I feel like pressure to do the man hug, you know, to be accepted as a man. So it's tough. It's tough, and it's a very real thing. So anyway, I know this is getting, oh God, it's 11 minutes. I'm so sorry this ran so long. I had a lot to say on it. Sorry about that. I hope you guys have a good week, and I look forward to other guys weighing in on this. Peace and love.